Welcome to Movie House Cinemas. Popcorn? Yes, please. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the movie. Reclining chairs? Don't mind if I do. Action, thriller, romance, we got it all. Discover the cinema today. Movie House Cinemas, home of the movies.
Good evening, and welcome along to Rob and Elliott tonight. Coming up on the show, I'll be chatting to former Coronation Street star Sean Wilson. You may remember him for playing Martin Platt on the cobbles for many years. Well, he's now running his very own successful cheese-making business. We'll be hearing all about it a little bit later on.
7 million people are thinking of changing career in 2024. 7 million people. That's nearly coming to a third of our workforce.
With the Olympic Games in Paris coming soon, we'll also be chatting to Team GB's Olympic swimming legend Sharron Davies.
Yeah, so I swam in my first Olympics at 13 and my last Olympics at 30, nearly 30, and I will be on the poolside in Paris for my 13th Olympics this summer.
The board game Scrabble is still as popular as it ever was, and we'll be meeting former World Scrabble champion Brett Smitheram.
The only way I could win was if strig was a word, because I had to play a 7-letter word making strig. Didn't know it, didn't think it was a word, played it anyway, fingers crossed, and then the big tick came back on the challenge sheet, and I realised that, wow, fantastic, very exciting.
With a brand new music from Derek Ryan. Dance teacher Victoria Barkley is on a mission to get the country dancing. We'll find out why.
Anybody can dance. It is 99% confidence. Genuinely, because people always come and say, I can't dance, I have 2 left feet. But you can.
And it's that time of year once again for the East Side Arts Festival, and Rachel Kennedy will be talking us through some of this year's highlights.
Very exciting to have somebody like Davies come to East Belfast, so he'll be in Banana Block, and we've done a number of festival events there over the years, and it really is a beautiful venue. It's really exciting, it's beautiful acoustically.
Well, to begin with on the show this week, we're talking movies, and to help us do that, I'm pleased to say the movie maestro himself, Tim Burton, is back with us. How are you, sir?
Robin, hey, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. It's been a while.
It has, and you've got brand new platforms. You've
Yes.
got, not shoes as in the media platforms. We're past the platform era. But no, congratulations, and all going well and thriving, which is great.
Thank you, yeah, they're picking us up in England and all over the place, on Sky, and in the south of Ireland, we're on Viewsat. And for people who didn't know as well, you can get us on the Hot Country TV app as well now as well. So
Okay.
Yeah, so plenty of ways to watch the big show, as I call it. So.
And well, look, that's a good segue, because we want to watch a lot of movies this summer, don't we?
Yeah, so is it a big summer for movies, or is it a bit disappointing?
No, it is pretty good. I mean, I think, last year and the year before, there was so many kind of on the back burner, and they were all coming out at once.
Yeah.
So, but this one is well spread out, so it's not too, overblown. And then if there's too many released, it's very hard to catch up. But the key one, which we're talking about, is Twisters.
Yes.
Now, you may recall 1996.
Yeah.
The Twister Jan de Bont film with Helen Hunt and Bill Paxton, and Philip Seymour Hoffman in a very early supporting role. Look, it was a lot of fun, and I think we'll all remember the cows flying around in a very CGI 1996 kind of ethos. But now, obviously, technology has improved a little bit, so the effects are a bit glossier. Twisters doesn't really have any connection to the 1996 film. It's a brand new story. You've got Daisy Edgar Jones, who was just fantastic, Glenn Powell, who we've just seen in The Hitman, and he's very much obviously egotistical. Daisy Edgar Jones is trying to be a bit more, down to earth and kind of keep Glenn off his high station. But Daisy has this new technology, and she's really pioneering this new technology to kind of seek out the twisters.
Yeah.
You know, so it's going to be. I mean, I haven't seen it as yet, but by all accounts, it's going to be, you know, quite a feast for the eyes and the ears. And the trailers and the publicity campaign has been pretty full on.
Yes.
So I think it's certainly a film made for the cinema, you know, 4DX, IMAX, Screen X, whatever format, VIP screens, you know, which we have a plethora of across the country, which is terrific. So I think Twisters is one certainly made for the cinema.
Right, what else have we got to look forward to then?
And keeping on the summer theme, so we've got Deadpool and Wolverine. Deadpool, you'll know, Ryan Reynolds, the first two films, hugely successful. So it's part of the kind of Marvel canon. And this time, Hugh Jackman is, as part of the fun, playing Wolverine.
Right.
So, and there'll be a few sneaky cameos from a few other Marvel favourites. There's even a kind of segue to Loki. There's the kind of the plot of the film takes place just before Loki season 2. For anyone who's big on their Disney Plus watching, then they'll know what I mean. So as always, Marvel are kind of keeping it very much in that universe, and there are lots of strains kind of connecting all together. So Deadpool and Wolverine, I think, will certainly be up Marvel fans' streets.
Yes,
and it'll probably be about 3 hours. Those Marvel films are always far too long, but
they really are, aren't they? What are they thinking? What are they thinking of?
I think there's so many writers in those films that they're trying to squeeze everything into. But no, that's me being a bit cynical. Another one, which we have to, I mean, this one I'm really looking forward to, and I'm sure you are too, because we're thinking back to a real classic film, Alien, 1979. You know, it's scary. It's like, 45 years ago. And this time we have Alien Romulus.
Right.
Now, when we think back to the Alien franchise, Ridley Scott's Alien, very much a pioneering film for him. He went on to do so many great things. That launched his career. James Cameron, we know it launched his career really. Even he'd done Terminator before, but Aliens really put him on the map. And David Fincher, Alien 3, that was his breakout film. So Alien has this great history of directing careers with real flair. And this one here now is very much a back to basics approach. And you have Kaylee Sweeney, who stars in this film, and Kaylee, who we've just recently seen as Priscilla Presley in Sofia Coppola's recent film, and also in Civil War, actually. She was the protagonist in Civil War. Beautiful performance, very controlled. And one of the great things about Alien Romulus, which is out at the end of August, is the sets are all real. The aliens are puppets. There's no NAF CGI and green screens. So the production team have been very authentic to in a sense, the 1986 James Cameron Aliens, very much, Stan Winston, all his creations of the Big Mother, and those fantastic effects. So this is something I'm really looking forward to. Fox and Disney have been pushing this for some months. The Alien series of films have a huge fan base. So Alien Romulus is, as I say, a back-to-basics approach to the Alien concept, which, by all accounts, looks terrific.
Looking forward to that. Talking about somebody else who's got a massive fan base is obviously Dracula. And later on this year, we're going to see Nosferatu. We saw the trailer drop in the other day. This looks a little bit different. This looks really good, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. Well, Robert Eggers now, he is the man behind The Witch, Lighthouse, and also The Northman that was filmed over here in Northern Ireland. And one of the most effective things with Robert's vision, now Nosferatu, as we know, the Dracula story is very much any kind of horror genre's, I suppose, touchstone. And it's something they always want to work towards. And he's been working on this and trying to realize it for many, many years. And the trailer, it does look stunning. And the clever thing about the trailer is you don't really see Nosferatu, which is good because trailers sometimes give far too much away, as we all know. And it's going to be, it's out on Christmas Day in America. So for us over here, it'll be Boxing Day.
Yeah, exactly. What about things that are happening around our little smaller cinemas around the province then? What's happening?
Yeah, well, that's a good way to actually highlight a few things. The Subterranean Community Cinema in Omagh. This is part of the Film Hub NI group, which is thankfully funded by the BFI. They have a wonderful season in their newly equipped cinema, which is in an old bar, Market Street, Omagh. So they're going to be showing With Nail and I.
Oh wow,
that
I love
classic,
it.
oh,
Love
brilliant
it.
film. Brand new 4K remaster. They're also going to be showing Stand By Me. Rob Reiner's brilliant.
Again, I love that.
Yeah, great
Yeah.
short Stephen King film. And we also then have The Godfather. They're showing the original Godfather. And they're going to be showing one more, which I'm going to get my notes out. How's this for a live, not so much live? Oh, yes, they're showing Billy Connolly's Big Banana Feet, which is a great piece of archive film, documentary making, because it was filmed in Belfast and in Dublin in the kind of, the peak of Billy Connolly's fame.
Yeah.
And they're also showing Grease. So I just want to make sure I get those in. But, they're going to be fantastic to see. And then also ECOS, as part of the Braid film, the ECOS Centre just outside Ballymena, there's a little summer festival, which is taking place on the 25th and 26th of July, which has the Sound of Music sing-along. So the lyrics of the film will be on the screen, so the audiences can sing along, and I definitely know you and Pauline would love that.
Definitely, yes.
So that'll be a very noisy screening, but in a good way. And there's also Jaws 2, which I don't think gets enough love.
It doesn't, no, it really
Jaws
doesn't.
2 actually is quite good. I think people forget. And it was good to have the original cast back, minus a couple.
Yeah.
And then we also have a screening of An American Werewolf in London, which is with the Fright Club team, and that's going to be on the 2nd of August, so the following Friday.
Yeah.
So it's there's lots happening across the province, and I should say Strand Cinema now is actually closed for refurbishment, as you well know. So, but they are going to be having pop-up screenings in like Conserwater Shopping Centre and other venues across the province, just to keep the kind of Strand Cinema flag flying, and to remind the good people that the Strand will be coming back just as a brand new, rejuvenated venue.
Brilliant. So lots to look forward to then.
Good to see you, Robin. Thanks
Tim,
for
good
having
to
me
see
on.
you. Thanks for coming in. Thank you. Right, on the way shortly, we'll be chatting to a dance teacher, Victoria Barkley. She's on a mission to get the whole of the country up and dancing. And with the Olympic Games coming soon, we'll be chatting to Team GB swimming legend Sharron Davies right after these.
Is your child a budding chef? Do you think they could be the next culinary sensation, the rising star young chef of the year? If your child is aged between 10 and 16, this is their chance to shine. Simply send a short video of them cooking their signature dish and telling us a little bit about themselves, along with their details to youngchefni@gmail.com. Entries close June 30th, 2024, so get your child's entry in now.
Heading to the North Coast, the Jet Centre in Coleraine offers entertainment for everyone. There's an 8-screen movie house cinema with all the best movies, 10-pin bowling, a massive arcade, soft play for the wee ones. Outdoors, there's a mini fun park and gem mining, plus an 18-hole floodlit mini golf course. Rain or shine, there's something for everyone here at the Jet Centre. Find out more at thejetcentre.co.uk.
And welcome back to Robin Elliott tonight. Next up, we're going to be chatting to Team GB swimming legend Sharron Davies. She's going to be telling us about how she keeps fit in her 60s and also living with arthritis in her knee, which is something that about 5.4 million of us are also living with in the UK. The NHS has a huge waiting list for physiotherapy and potential surgical intervention, with 80% of us resigned to thinking joint pain is an unavoidable part of getting older. Let's chat more about this because Sharron joins us now. How are you today?
I'm really well, thank you very much, Robin.
Good to see you. So talk us through this new report then, the Under Pressure report, because the numbers are quite staggering, aren't they?
They are, and unfortunately, they are growing all the time. So about 350,000 of us get diagnosed each year with OA, osteoarthritis. That can be kind of anywhere. Knees, it's about 5.5 million of us that have got arthritis of the knees right now, and that includes me. So I injured my knee as an 11-year-old, got away with it because I was a swimmer. And then what was left of my cruciate ligament, I snapped doing gladiators in 95. And so I had a reconstruction on the right knee, 9 operations to take out bits of cartilage and goodness knows what. Now have grade 4 osteoarthritis, which is bone on bone, and was very close to having a knee replacement and was trying to put it off because you only get like the opportunity to have 2 knee replacements. And if you're very active, you can wear them out. So I thought, well, I need to put this off for as long as I possibly can. My specialist came to me nearly 2 years ago, 18 months ago, and he said to me, look, there's this new product out. They've been using it on horses. Very, very wealthy horse racer, racing people have been using it on their horses. Horses can't lie. They're now going to use it in humans. Arthrosamid, it coats the synovial joint and stops the pain, and enables you to have either a normal life, a bit more pain-free, or like me, enables me to go back to doing all the physical activity that I like. As you can imagine, I'm in the gym 3 or 4 times a week. I like to be on my exercise bike. It was either get on and have the knee replacement or give this a go. So I gave it a go 18 months ago, and here I am.
And did you ever get frightened when you started having issues with your knees? Because for any sports person, getting any kind of injury could put a stop to your career.
It did. It really scared me, because I'm someone that's got ants in my pants. I can't sit still. I'm always doing something. I've got 2 grandchildren now, 2 dogs. I live in the countryside. And I've always had physical activity in my life. I just can't imagine not being able to just go down the gym, and work out. So I would say there's a lot that we can do for ourselves. But I was always a little bit anti, painkillers too. I didn't like topping up with pills. Just something in my head said to me, just keep constantly taking ibuprofen. It's not going to be terribly good for the lining of my stomach. So I was an ice user. And then the ice just wasn't doing what I wanted it to do anymore. And it was really scaring me. And I was thinking, well, I'm just going to have to bite the bullet. Yes. But when you think I snapped my cruciate, nearly 30 years ago. And the injury I did at school was when I was 11 and I turned 62 this year. And this is an injury that I've had for nearly 50 years, and I'm still managing to keep it going. So it's quite surprising what you can do.
And even though you had that injury at school, it didn't stop you doing the Olympics. And I know you were selected for the Olympics at a pretty young age, weren't you?
Yeah, so I swam in my first Olympics at 13 and my last Olympics at 30, nearly 30. And I will be on the poolside in Paris for my 13th Olympics this summer. So my whole life has gone in 4-year jumps. Each time. And Tokyo, I have to say, was very unique and unusual. I didn't really see much of Tokyo apart from the hotel room and a swimming pool. But yeah, I think I was lucky because I was a swimmer. So I was non-weight bearing. So having done that injury when I was 11, if I'd been a squash player, or a rugby player, it would have been a very different story. But my dad tied my legs together for 3 months and I pulled only. And by that time it settled down. But what was left of that cruciate ligament definitely went in 95 when I was doing gladiators.
And of course, we've seen the reboot of Gladiators on our TV screens recently. Have you been watching?
I have. I think it's brilliant. I think we need to inspire our young people to get off the sofa, to be more physically active, to find being physically active interesting and exciting again. And I think that Gladiators did that. It worked in the 90s. We had 17 million people watching and they've brought it back, and the BBC have been pretty true to the original. They need to bring a few more games in. Yes. I think health and safety is a bit tighter these days than it used to be in our day. So they're not allowed to be quite as ferocious as we were allowed to be. But I think it was really good fun, and I know loads of kids have absolutely thoroughly enjoyed it. And a lot of slightly older kids have thoroughly enjoyed revisiting it, shall we say.
Exactly. Now, looking ahead to Paris, what do you reckon Team GB's chances are in the pool then?
Very good. We've got some fantastic swimmers. Our men's team in particular are very strong. People like Duncan Scott, Tom Dean, of course, Adam Peaty's going to be going in there trying to go for his 3rd consecutive 100-meter breaststroke, title, which is extraordinary. Very few people around the world have ever done that. It's going to be up against a very fast Chinese swimmer who swims very similar to him, but is about 5 years younger. Adam's had a very tricky last 18 months, but he seems to be coming back into form. We've got the mixed medley relay team that will also be defending their Olympic title. We've got 2 world champions in our girls from earlier this year. And we had the most successful Tokyo Olympics in 100 years in the swimming pool. So they've got a tall order. We won, I think we had 8 medals, 4 golds from just 3 years ago. So that's quite a challenge for them, but they're looking good, and I'm very excited.
And of all the sports in the world, what was it about swimming that got you hooked?
Because I was good at it. I mean, I don't know that people get to, like, it's just so weird, isn't it? I was like every normal little girl. So I did ballet, I did, gymnastics, I rode ponies, I went swimming. And the thing that I was naturally quite good at was the swimming. So swimmers are quite tall. We have long bodies, we have long arms, we have big hands, we have big feet. That's me. Sounds really unattractive, but that is the shape that works for swimming. Whereas if you're an athlete, you're going to be the opposite. You're going to have a short body and you're going to have long legs. So when you're talking about elite athletes, we all look very similar because it's physics, basically. And so I just found the thing that I had the natural, I had the right skills for, I had the right body shape for, and I had the determination. And then my dad was there to help me. I had access to a swimming pool, which is really important. And today, if there's one thing that I'm jealous of today, it's the support that the kids get for lottery. The Great British public are amazing at supporting our athletes. We're the most successful country in the world per capita. And that's primarily down to things like lottery, which enables our athletes to be full-time professionals.
Well, Sharron, it's been lovely talking to you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Nice to speak to you too, Robin. Take care.
And welcome back to Robin Elliott tonight. My next guest is on a mission to get the country up on their feet and dancing all around the place. She's been teaching Latin and ballroom dancing for over 20 years now, and also recently won a Mighty Woman in Dance Award at a fabulous awards ceremony at the Titanic Hotel in Belfast. I'm pleased to say Victoria Barkley joins us in the studio. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you so much. How are you?
Very well, thank you. So first of all, congratulations on the Mighty Woman Award. That was a fabulous day, wasn't it?
Yeah, thank you kindly. Oh gosh, yeah. There's so many mighty women in this country. It is humbling and quite, you need to step back and think, oh my goodness, there's so much goes on that nobody ever knows about or it's never brought to the forefront. So it was a fantastic ceremony.
So many amazing stories that day, didn't we?
I know, absolutely.
You needed the tissues there as well.
You do
some
need
heartbreaking stories too.
You need the tissues because it was hot to wipe the sweat, and you need the tissues for the tears. Oh, absolutely, yeah. No, some complete superstars in that room, absolutely.
But it's good as well to recognise the people in our kind of performing arts industry, which was the category that you came under. You won the Mighty Woman in Dance category, something you've been doing for a very long time now.
A very long time, yes, completely. Going back to school, they used to say Victoria's great crack, but all is in her head is dancing.
Yes.
I used to dance down the corridors, didn't do too well in maths or science, but I just danced. So yeah, all that was in my brain ever, Robin, was just dancing, and how good it makes you feel to dance, get music on, dance with a partner, dance on your own, but just all that was in my head was I need to do this, I need to dance. So that was just me from 8, 9 years old, and I just kept on that path.
Wow, and how did all that progress? You were doing probably the shows and stuff way back then?
Shows back, at the very start it was ballet.
Yeah.
I started off with ballet, and my mum, God rest her, had me immaculate every Wednesday night going to Mrs. Hall down in White House for ballet. And then whenever I got 9, 10, the whole ballroom and Latin world came to the forefront. And once I started in that, there was no going back, Robin. There was no going back. And then I started going to the wonderful Alan in Clark's, who is an absolute gem. And never looked back. Continued then to do competitions and everything at the time. And then performing arts. So I studied dance in good old Tar Street. With Absolutely, with the wonderful, inspiring Sandy Cuthbert.
And she still is. I saw her the other day. She's still fabulous and still doing it as well.
She's just amazing.
And you're thinking about Sandy, she never ages.
Never.
What is going on there?
I don't know. I used to say whenever I grow up, I want to be like you. And now I still, when I grow up, I want to be like Sandy Cuthbert. So I did all that, musical theatre, shows, the wonderful Amdram circuit, which is fantastic here, and just seems to be getting even more better as each year comes. But then obviously there was this calling, Robin, where the ballroom and Latin world was reeling me back in. And once I finished my performing arts course, I went back and did my teacher training in ballroom and Latin. And then I launched First Dance NI, coming up on 20 years ago.
Wow.
Which is quite scary to say, because I like to think, well, clearly I'm not that old.
Yes, yeah.
But when you go 20 years, okay. So yeah, 20 years. And that has just been a mission to get people dancing socially.
Yes.
Social dancing, you know, because we are getting further and further away from that wonderful era of people going out and dancing together.
Yeah.
You know, the days of the Plaza Ballroom, the Floral Hall, you know, all these wonderful places that are not there.
But people are still watching the shows like Strictly and things, so this must be kind of bringing it back again.
Absolutely, absolutely. And whenever you see these big fantastic rugby players, you know, on Strictly, and you're thinking, there's no way he's going to be able to dance. And then they dance and they fall in love with it.
Yes, yeah.
Suddenly these people who are at home sitting thinking, oh, you wouldn't catch me dancing, I'm not going to do that. More often than not now, they are the ones contacting saying, look, really interested in doing this. Can me and my partner come along, sign up for some classes?
So can you teach anybody to dance?
100%.
Then? Anybody?
Absolutely.
Even me?
Even you, Robin.
Really?
Yes, and that will be a mission. No, anybody can dance. It is 99% confidence. Genuinely, because people always come and say, I can't dance, I have 2 left feet. But you can, when you break it down. So in their head they think, okay, right, I'm walking steps, I'm not dancing, I'm doing these steps walking. Suddenly the confidence builds, and then they kind of realize, oh, hold on, I can do this if I put that foot there and that foot there. And suddenly once that happens, then this happiness appears, and they're thinking, oh, I can do this, you know, and there's that good feel-good factor then comes in.
Tell me about the paradance thing as well, because that's a pretty big qualification that not too many people have this, do they?
No, apparently not. I always had this yearning of thinking, look, I want people to dance. I want everybody to dance.
Yeah.
So often people are told, oh, you can't dance, you know, and paradance came up when I thought, well, I want to be able to teach anybody to dance. My late mum, she suffered with Alzheimer's towards the end, and it was just horrible. Yeah. But you could see when music came on, there was this just wonderful, warm reminiscence that came back, and the music just took her back to somewhere, you know. So you think, right, I have to do this. I have to use the power of dance and music to help people. Yeah. So enrolled with Paradance, did all of that, thinking, oh gosh, I have to go back to doing modules and, you know, assignments, assessments. But I did that, and their ethos is fantastic. You know, they are all about getting anybody with any form of mental impairment or physical impairment involved in dancing. So whether that's using power chairs, wheelchairs, walking aids, hearing aids, whether that is people who are suffering from PTSD or lots of other mental illnesses, they get them all involved in different groups, and it's amazing to be a part of.
That sounds amazing. So what's next for you then? I know you get involved in these Strictly dancing things from time to time. You do a lot for charity, don't you?
Yeah. The Strictly dancing events are amazing. They really, really are, because you're getting people who are stepping outside of their normal everyday life, well outside their comfort zone, you know, just normal people. And they're coming in and never danced before, and they're put with somebody who maybe hasn't also never danced before, and they team up, and then at the very final night, then they're performing 400, 500, 600 people. You know, suddenly they're shaking their bits doing a salsa, or they're being so elegant, moving around the dance floor, and they raise such fantastic funds for different charities, these events. Yeah. So there's a few of those starting off again September. Okay. And then I'm doing a few productions choreography wise, and then just continuing on with my social classes up until Christmas.
Okay, well, if people want to get involved in one of your social classes, how do they go about doing that?
Yes. Everything is First Dance NI, all the social media, you know, which I'm getting even better at. It's all First Dance NI, so just reach out and I'll be in touch as soon as possible.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for coming in today.
Pleasure.
It's good to see you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Right, still to come on the show this evening. Have you ever wondered whatever happened to Martin Platt from Coronation Street? We're going to tell you a little bit later on as actor Sean Wilson joins us on the show. And we're going to find out what's happening at this year's East Side Arts Festival right after these.
Here we are on the north coast, where sporting legends are made. He needs this putt to advance to the next stage, but can he do it? The crowd are holding their breath. Can he cope with the pressure?
Dad, would you take the shot?
Yes!
Yes!
Well,
And welcome back to Rob and Elliott tonight. Right, it's that time of year again. The East Side Arts Festival is back between the 25th of July and the 4th of August. And as always, it's good to see Rachel Kennedy, who's with us in the studio. How are you today?
I'm very well, thank you. It's lovely to be back, Robin.
Good to see you again. So another packed festival.
Yep.
And I want to start off by talking about the Templemore Baths because it was my first time there when you had the launch recently. And what a fabulous venue in East Belfast.
It's so beautiful. So Templemore Baths is somewhere that a lot of people from the local area would have actually learned to swim. It was one of the final remaining Victorian bathhouses that we have in the city, and this one in particular had a lot of history and heritage, so we were fortunate enough to be able to actually have investment into the baths, so that it's now a functioning, a very welcoming heritage space, so people can come and experience what it would have been like to experience the baths when you had to pay in to either have your bath or go for your swim or learn to swim. So there's a lot of stories, a lot of heritage in that building, so it's lovely to see it brought to life so beautifully.
So that's just one of many venues you're using this year. So what can we expect from the Templemore Baths then?
So we're going to be having a fantastic literary event, which is the Summer Yard Sessions. So that's a follow-on of last year's event with the Thomas Carnduff Appreciation Society. So a group of people that have come together to essentially celebrate the poetry of Thomas Carnduff, who was known as the shipyard poet, and kind of, I suppose, Protestant working class writers and literature. So that's going to be happening there, and the baths will also be having a couple of guided tours that people can sign up to, and a new tour as well, which is of Templemore Avenue, which will be really nice. So just a bit more of the heritage of outside of the building and that area.
Brilliant. Now, music, as always, plays a big part in the festival. And I know you've got the East Side Electronics, which for people who love that kind of music, there's something really big happening, isn't there?
Yeah, so it's exciting. So this year, our guest appearance will be Lil Louis, who's the founding father of House. So yeah, that's a really exciting booking for us, and we're delighted to see somebody of his calibre and history and his just such an incredible performer come to C.S. Lewis Square and join the Night Institute. So as usual, it'll be Timmy and Jordan on the decks and another couple of DJs that we're bringing along as well from the south. So it'll be a really fantastic night, and we've brought our gate opening time a little earlier, so it'll feel like a longer event. So we're praying for good weather for that one.
Indeed. Now you've got a DJ set as well from Jazzy B, who I've worked with before, and of course people will remember him from Soul to Soul way back in the day.
Yeah. So again, very exciting to have somebody like Jazzy B come to East Belfast. So he'll be in Banana Block, and we've done a number of festival events there over the years, and it really is a beautiful venue. It's really exciting. It's beautiful acoustically, so it works just as well for for live music or a band as it does for DJ. And so it's going to be on our second weekend in the festival. So looking forward to that. And the night before, Jazzy B will have Kieran Bartlett's Comedy Club back again. So again, anybody that came to the festival last year might have come along to the comedy night with Kieran. And it was so good last year that we weren't able to actually fit in all the people that wanted to come. So we're going to have two shows. So an early one and a late one. So the early one's selling very well, and the late one's starting to move too. So lots of comedy happening.
Brilliant. Now, if you like your country music, there's something special happening, isn't there?
Yeah. So the Boondocks is actually a new event. So it's a group of people that essentially just really love country music and being able to play country music together. So they're going to come together to perform kind of the classics of country, the sort of songs that people might expect, the musicians that they love to play together. So they're going to be performing in the Harland and Wolff Staff Club.
Tell me about Whiskey Wars. This looks like good fun.
So it's an actor called Joyce Greenaway who has written, created and performs this one-woman show. So we're using a new venue for this year, which is exciting. So Titanic Distillers down at the Thompson Dock in the Titanic area. And it's a really stunning venue, and Joyce will be performing to a backdrop of those enormous casks that you see in breweries. So it'll be very atmospheric, and it's the story of a one woman's attempt to save her family distillery, her whiskey distillery. So this is a show that has performed kind of, I want to say all over the world, most certainly all over the UK and Ireland, to huge critical acclaim. It tends to sell out very quickly, and with our ticket you also get a lovely cocktail on arrival.
Lovely, okay. Now, as well as that, Kibosh have got a big production on, haven't they?
Kibosh are producing a piece that Eastside Arts commissioned with Arts Council support from a playwright called Alice Melseed. So the play is called 3 Paydays, and Alice was really interested in finding out more about essentially poverty, the current face of poverty in East Belfast. After a number of interactions that she had herself, she felt that this was something that she wanted to address. And we worked through our scaffolding project and Eastside Partnership to link in with the likes of the Larder Social Supermarket in East Belfast and the East Belfast Anti-Poverty Alliance. And Alice was able to then hear the stories of the people that are fighting against poverty and living in poverty and in destitution in the area. And this is something that she then developed up into a play, and Kibosh have taken that on to produce it as a full show. So that's going to be performed in the Bright Umbrella Sanctuary Theatre space.
Fun for all the family as well. Tumble Circus are back.
Yeah, well, you can't have a festival without Tumble Circus.
Exactly.
East Belfast's own international touring circus troupe. So this one is on a slightly smaller scale. So it's Ken and Tina, and they're going to do their aerial act on what they call the big rig. So it's essentially a very high piece of rigging that they'll do acrobatics from, the two of them. So they're going to be at a lovely space again that we're using, I think, for the first time this year. That's the Malone Rugby Club, which, funnily enough, isn't in Malone. It's just behind the Lidl on the Craig Road. And it's a fantastic big space, and it's got some lovely outdoor area. So we're using the Malone Rugby Club for a number of different events, and that's one of them. So it's a lovely family event. The show lasts about 35 minutes, and it's the usual daring do from Tina and Ken. Really entertaining, really good fun for all ages.
Then over at the Shorts Club, you've got the Dragtastic Cabaret as well.
And this year is really special. We've got a couple of guests coming from the UK, which is exciting. So, and I think actually Devon and Ned, I think, are coming from further afield from America. But we've also got Miss Dora Bell, who is a drag queen who speaks British Sign Language. So she will interpret the show in BSL as in full drag, so that we're able to welcome our deaf audiences to come to that show. So we're excited about that.
Brilliant. I will let you choose one more of your highlights from this year's festival. What's it going to be?
I think I'd probably just like to draw attention to the amount of literature that we've got. So we've got some really fantastic writing workshops happening this year. So Jan Carson is doing an introduction to writing the short story, and Jan is also on a panel with 2 other artists and 2 writers, and she's going to be talking, that panel is called Writing Home, and it's about, so it's Jan Carson and Amy Walsh, and it's going to be chaired by Hilary Copeland. And the 3 of them will just be talking about the new novels that they have available to buy at the minute, and that sort of the inspiration that they find from writing about the place where they live. And we've also got Olga Dermot-Bond and Katie Griffith. So they are with Nine Arches Press, which is a Midlands press in England. But they're both based in the Midlands in England, but they are both from Northern Ireland. So it's lovely to be able to have them with us. And they're going to, again, be leading poetry writing workshops and then doing a sort of an in-conversation in the evening. And Jan's going to come along and moderate that panel.
Brilliant. So I know you've got something like over 60 events happening this year. If people want to check out the full programme, if they want to book tickets, where can they go to for that?
Best place to go, eastsidearts.net, our website, and they can also get their tickets by phone and in person at the Visit Belfast Welcome Centre.
Brilliant. Rachel, good to see you as always. The
Thank
best
you
of
so
luck
much.
with this year's festival.
Thank you.
Thank you. Brett Smitheram is a former world Scrabble playing champion. In fact, he was rated as the UK's #1 player, the world #3 player, and the winner of the 2016 World Scrabble Championship. And Brett joins us now. So thank you for joining us. So it does seem that Scrabble is still as popular as it ever was.
Oh yeah, I mean Scrabble remains, I think, a subject close to everybody's hearts, and it's great whenever I get to talk about it because everybody's got a story, and yet it's a game that's got a 75+ year pedigree, and yet it's still going strong. I think there are as many Scrabble sets in British homes as there are Bibles, so that says something about the popularity.
And what about younger people? Are they getting into the game, or is it just for people of a certain age?
Yeah, interesting question. I think what we're seeing, and certainly research has shown, is that as we kind of move through the generations, younger people are actually less competitive. So the classic game of Scrabble, where maybe your granny will destroy you over Christmas, and you go away as the loser, and you're commiserating over your Christmas turkey. I mean, it's still people are coming into that, but actually what they also look for is something that's probably a little bit more maybe collaborative, a little bit more friendly. But I do still have a couple of protégés coming through. So I've got my my Scrabble Padawans, my Scrabblewans that are lined up for tournaments for the future.
So you are a world Scrabble champion. So how does one become a world champion then?
Yeah, it was a mix of things really. I mean, I come from quite a competitive family, not really board games, but other things. And when I was at school, really good at English, but really good at maths actually, which is more important in Scrabble. I happened to be at a school where we played competitive Scrabble. I had a really good memory. I learned 170,000 words. I got taken under the wing of a competitive Scrabble player. And the rest, as they say, is history. The first time I ever flew in a plane was to Melbourne for the 2020 the 2000 World Championship. Scrabble has literally opened the world to me, so it's awesome.
And what kind of money are we talking about for, say, winning a world championship?
We're usually talking around kind of £10,000, that kind of region. So, we're not up in the big leagues like the worlds of chess and everything on that. But I'm looking to change that. Not just for myself, but actually I think Scrabble is a great thing to promote generally. I think it teaches all sorts of great skills to kids. So I'd love to see a much bigger scene from the competitive side.
So you mentioned about Scrabble being good for young people. So is it something that schools should maybe start to promote then?
100%. I think Scrabble is great for schools. I know a lot of schools are very invested actually in chess, for example. So chess is great for abstract thinking and so on. But, if you think about the skills you're learning in Scrabble, obviously there's linguistic skills, spelling, that baseline. But also then you look at mathematics, there's probabilistic thinking, there's all sorts of analytical thought that I think is fantastic. And kids absolutely love Scrabble. I've been talking to the team here. I've got friends who've got young children, and they'll go home and their child will already have set up the board to play. And I think that's an awesome thing. I think maybe Scrabble is too accessible though. Chess has got a mystique that Scrabble hasn't got. But I would love schools to start adopting Scrabble 100%.
So the game has been around for over 75 years now. So is it definitely going to stay?
100%. As long as we have language, we'll have Scrabble. It's being printed in different languages all the time. It's now classified as a sport in some countries. It's become significant, and I think with the evolution of the game as well, with Scrabble Together that's been released for National Scrabble Day, it keeps changing as well, that it's going to be accessible and appealing as our approach to competitive play changes and how people engage with games. So yeah, I think it's here to stay, and as long as it is, I will be.
And how do these tournaments work? Do people come to watch these tournaments?
Yeah, it's not really something you can watch. I mean, increasingly people are beginning to stream tournaments, so you can actually watch it online to an extent. But I think in the past with nationals, we've kind of held it in a big arena and kind of had people milling around. But it's not a great spectator sport unless you already know what you're doing. Definitely, there's some YouTube channels where people will kind of give an overview after the game has been played. And I think that's much more accessible for people rather than just kind of watch it, because otherwise it's 50 minutes of someone else playing words, which might be exciting for some, but I don't think it appeals to absolutely everybody.
And are there any Northern Ireland-based players?
There are indeed. My protege, and probably one of the proudest moments in my Scrabble career. Can I give him a name check?
Yes, please do.
Stuart Holden. Met him at university, took him under my wing. He rapidly rose to be one of the highest rated players in the country. Overtook me once, but fortunately that's been redressed. Recently won the Northern Irish National Championship, or Northern Irish Championship, pipping me really annoyingly. So thanks for that, Stuart. But yeah, he's great. And another chap called Paul Gallen. Paul used to be ranked world #1, and again, very, very great competitor. Both of them members of the Belfast Scrabble Club.
Brett, great talking to you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks a lot, Robin. Take care.
Right, still to come on the show this evening, some brand new music from a country music star, Derek Ryan, and former Coronation Street star turned hugely successful cheesemaker, Sean Wilson, joins us right after these.
Let the good times roll at Super Strikes at the Jet Centre. You can now book your lane online. We've got 14 bowling lanes and 4 mini bowling lanes. Plus we serve delicious hot food and snacks, or enjoy a cold beverage with your food after the game. Discover bowling today at the Jet Centre. Jet Centre, entertainment for everyone.
And welcome back to Robin Elliott tonight. Now, did you know that around 7 million people in the UK are looking to switch careers this year? And this is something that former Coronation Street actor Sean Wilson knows all about. He took a leap of faith and switched career and started his own cheese empire. We're going to hear Sean's story now because he joins us on the line. How are you today?
Hello, Rob. I'm very good, thank you. Very good.
So before we talk about cheese, we've got to talk about Coronation Street. And you were in the show for so many years, playing Martin Platt, who had so many great storylines. So first of all, do you miss the days on the cobbles then?
Well, if the vehicle of soap opera was the same now as it was when I left, then yes, I probably would miss it. But it's a different vehicle nowadays. They're trying to overcome the world's issues in half an hour, which is fair enough. It's very, issue centric. Whereas when I was in the show, it was very much writer and actor centric. 1 minute, firstly, you'd be with all the family around the TV. You'd be finishing your tea or having a cup of coffee, and 1 minute you'll be crying, the next minute you'll be laughing. And, that was the beauty of Coronation Street. And so, yes, I was very proud to be part of those halcyon years.
And of course, over the years, Martin had so many fabulous storylines, including the one where that psychotic nanny was after him.
God, yeah. Yeah, the Irish nanny.
The Irish nanny. Carmel, wasn't that her name?
Well, there was no one more surprised than me when I turned the script to meet Carmel. And yes, it was quite a storyline that unfolded. One of quite a few storylines my character had, really, to be fair.
And back then you had over 20 million viewers tuning in to Corrie, and everybody was talking about it. You went out the next day and people were talking about what happened in the Platt household the night before.
I know. And, they're very fond memories. But in 2005, for 2 different reasons. One was my passion balloon was about to burst with food and the food industry. And the other one, I had to make an editorial decision whether I was going to stay or leave. Decided it was time to go, really. I think I did a bit of an Eric Cantona, really, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I stepped boldly into a Michelin star kitchen, working there. I'm working my corner in sunny Blackburn at Northcote Manor. And long story short, the chef there, Lisa Allen, introduced me to an artisan Lancashire cheesemaker. So Lancashire is all around the Manchester area, so local to me. I was brought up on that style of cheese, and he was looking to teach somebody how to make his cheeses. And so we got on famously. And so I went to work with him for 18 months, 2 years, essentially his apprentice.
And what about the whole business side of things? Did you have a business brain, or was it something you had to learn?
Well, in real terms, chronologically, I stepped out of school into Coronation Street for 21 years and stepped out again with a passion balloon that needed to burst. And so the passion balloon was just being fed.
Yeah.
which is one thing. But then you have the other side where you need to segue yourself into the cheese industry, which is very well versed in making billions of pounds every year, very fast train to jump on, and you need to be, finance centric. And of course, I wasn't. You can't step out of school and be finance centric. And when I was in Coronation Street, really, of course, I was receiving money on a weekly basis, but it was just like housekeeping to the bank, to separate the VAT and then wait for it next week. So it was very much a housekeeping situation. Whereas now I was talking cash flow, I was talking finance, I was talking to banks, I was forecasting. My main reason for being with you today, Rob, is so I can push it's British or National Apprentice Week starts on the 5th of February. And the Association of Accounting Technicians, the AAT, run apprenticeships. And what I would say to anybody who was thinking of jumping from one career to another, and as you very correctly put earlier, 7 million people are thinking of changing career in 2024. 7 million people. That's nearly coming to a third of our workforce considering moving. But then 21% of them, just to add a bit more of a statistic to it, don't really know how to take their first step into that new career. So they want it. They have the passion balloon that I had. But then, of course, they don't really know how to take the first step. And my advice, now looking back to 2005, if I could have taken one of these apprenticeships, and while I was already running my business, and so I would have had a finance mentor, which then is a qualification, then I could have been learning by osmosis, really, by learning while I was on the job and becoming more business-like. I could jump on that train and possibly have joined into the conversation a lot easier. So that's why I'm here, really, to talk about this apprenticeship.
Now, a lot of young people watching this at the moment might be going through the whole UCAS process and thinking about their future, and maybe they don't want to go to university, so apprenticeships are probably the way to go for them.
Well, it does seem to be splitting itself into a two-choice situation where, yes, you got 60% of people through research are being hassled by their parents to go to university to create that educational backbone for the future. But clearly that's going to bring itself some debt as well, and quite some debt by all accounts. Whereas the other side of the coin for a young person to consider is maybe stepping into an apprenticeship where you could be either, you could be wanting to become an accountant, let's say, where you could take one of these AAT qualifications, a 3-year course, which then will qualify you to either work for an accountant, and they apparently are screaming out for accountants nowadays. Yes. So it would be a very good career choice. Or, you could start bookkeeping for small companies, and you have choices there. Or you could be working for somebody else who then will enter into you being taught by the AAT whilst you're working for them and becoming a more what would you call it? You'd be more beneficial to the company as each year goes by. So then, of course, financially, the employer will be looking after that person who wants longevity with that company. So, there are a few options within the apprenticeship side of it.
And when you were that age, were you definitely clear on what you wanted to do? Was it definitely going to be acting?
Oh, yeah. Way back when, yes, it was definitely going to be acting. It was going to be acting or art. I'm good at both. And then opportunities came along. And then Granada were looking at me for Coronation Street. It transpires. So they placed me in a few different episodes or series with one eye on maybe shall we use him now? And so in 1985, they took the leap and brought my character in.
What about if somebody out there was thinking about setting up their own cheese business? Is it something that's easy enough to do, or what kind of advice would you give them?
Cheese is an industry that is very fulfilling if you're making cheese in the artisan fashion, because of course you're making a cheese that somebody was making back in the 1100s in the same way, really. So it really has its benefits on that side. The alchemy of that career is very good. But there are so many different facets now to the cheese industry. You could go and work for a cheddar company and have a completely different experience in a good way. I mean, there's one cheddar company out there, Wyke Farms, and they're making cheddar in a net zero carbon, future busting way, and to work for that kind of company would be fabulous.
Yeah.
But there are lots of career opportunities in cheese. It just depends which one you want to take.
Sean, great talking to you. Thank you so much for joining us. And you must come and see us in Belfast and bring some cheese with you as well.
I will do. And hello, Belfast. I love that city.
Right, that's all we have time for on the show this week. To play us out, some brand new music from country music star Derek Ryan. He's back with a new single called In Between the Jigs and Reels, and this music video also features the legendary Kilfenora Ceilidh Band as well. So here's Derek Ryan, and we'll see you back here same time next week. Bye-bye.
Between the jigs and the reels.